Appeals meeting to order. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce the board. We'll let Harry go first since he's getting.
My name is Harry Kohler.
Christina Stankowski.
John A. Bennett.
Anil Vera.
Kathy Slagle.
Emily Boyette, Secretary.
First order of business is approval of the June 18th, 2018 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I found two corrections, which I already pointed out to Emily.
Okay. Could you tell us what those are?
Third paragraph, meeting called to order by vice chairman, and it should be just chairman, right?
Okay.
And then down in the summary, sixth line from the bottom, that rectangular should be quadrilateral. Sorry about that. Rectangular has to have 4 right angles.
Kathy, I'm glad you know your geometry.
Are there any other corrections?
With those corrections, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Our first order of business is BOA 18.09, Lot 1-B of Planters Plaza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for an appeal. As the staff report states, the property is located at the north side of Fairhope Avenue between Greeno Road and Bishop Road, next to the Cancer Center that's been recently built there. The subject property is B2. This property the appeal is for a medical use. If you look at the table of permitted uses, a medical use is not allowed by right in B2. Just about everything else is, except for a medical use, it is on appeal. And so the applicant is requesting to have a medical facility there, which again requires an appeal to be granted by this Board of Adjustments. Staff has reviewed this application. The size of the property is 8.2 acres. It is Lot 1B of Planters Plaza re-subdivision. The only thing that staff would note is that we do have a medical overlay district. This property is not in that overlay district. However, if you look at that overlay district, the majority of those properties are already developed. And this property, the size of this property would not fit in those particular parcels. So we'll make that note. We did look at that very closely with the medical overlay and what was existing there now. With that being said, staff does not anticipate any negative impacts from this property. Like I said before, it is B2, which is probably the most intense zoning classification we have from the commercial and professional office standpoint. But the medical use is not one of those that's permitted by right. It is by appeal, which is what we're here for today. So with that being said, staff does recommend approval. We don't believe there'll be any adverse impacts. And this is adjacent to an existing new Mitchell Cancer Center. And so this will be adjacent to that, which I think would create sort of another kind of a location for a series of medical uses, which I think is a good thing. They're kind of grouped there together. I think access to this property would be very easy to achieve, and so staff does recommend approval. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
And the Mitchell Cancer Center is to the right of this property, is that correct?
To the east.
I mean, to
Yeah,
the
it's to the east of the property. Right next, I mean, you have the Baldwin County Courthouse, the Mitchell Cancer Center, and then this property.
Okay.
And just to note, this is adjacent to a bank and also a retail shopping center. So the uses through there would all be either retail or professional office or medical.
Since the cancer center's there, it makes all the sense in the world.
And that was one of the main factors for us, as well as the size and the lack of area in the medical overlay that exists with that cancer center and this property at that's sort of another area where you have which I would anticipate having a variety of medical uses there. So I think that makes a lot of sense to us, and that's one of the reasons why we felt that this would be appropriate.
Was an appeal also granted for the Mitchell Cancer Center?
That I don't know. That was
Okay.
before that came before I got here. I did not look at that, so I'm not certain of that.
But it's the same zoning category, though?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, so,
Yes, sir.
Actually, if I remember right, Wayne, that was a state.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there are some
So
state
there's
exemptions,
no
right.
Function with that.
That was a what?
It's under the state,
Board of Health.
yes, and I don't know if the Board of Health, but anyhow, it's not controlled by any.
That is
Wow.
correct. They did not have to get any approvals through the city, it being a state entity.
Yeah, because it's associated with USA Medical Center. Any questions? I'd be glad to answer. Any others?
We'd like the applicant to come up and, please, if you'll state your name for us.
Arthur Cordy, we're requesting this to, I guess, expand the medical community of our area. And whenever this property came into the city, we were requested to bring it in, and they, at the time, it was also, we came in under an agreement it would be B2, which they granted whenever we annexed it. And at the time, at the definition of B2, we would not have to have this exception, but they changed the definition of B2 since we brought it into the city. So under the original deal that we made with the city as far as bringing it in, we would not, this would not be necessary. So we're asking for this to be more of a way to quicker solution than going through a process of trying to get it approved another way. And also, I have someone here that they're with Cardiology Associates, our biggest cardiology group here in town, that has an interest in the building. So, I mean, that's the reason we're asking for this request. And so it's not just a request, we got somebody that's interested in occupying the building.
Any questions?
So the intent is going to be towards medical offices and that type of thing, not an emergency room or anything like that?
Right. It'll be medical offices.
And the appeal, it says medical offices as far as, in the table of permitted uses, it says a medical office. And if it was going to be a hospital, I think that would entail emergency room. That's not what it would allow, just medical offices.
Okay.
And I believe what Mr. Cordy is referring to is, as we all know, as time goes on, ordinances change and uses are changed. And I believe that at the time that it was originally annexed in, B2 allowed a lot more variety of uses, and over time, you have new districts that are created, and some of the uses are taken out and placed in other districts and so forth. And so I think over time, this district has sort of evolved a little bit. And at some point, the medical use was taken out of B2 and made an appeal. That's what best I can put together from historically looking at some of the information.
Thank you, Mr. Cordy.
Thank you.
I'd like to open the meeting to the public portion. Anybody from the public would like to speak for or against it? We'll close the public portion. Now open the the committee discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Wayne. 8.2 acres is a large parcel. If not all the land is used for a clinic, can it revert back to regular B2, or does it now be designated strictly as that?
No, ma'am. The way that I interpret the ordinance, and I think the way the ordinance is written, B2 is allowed. And so right now, all those uses are allowed. If the board does approve the medical office use, that will be just another use that will be allowed there.
Okay.
So they will not lose the rights to
Anything.
the zoning that's there now.
I see.
All this would do would be add another category of medical office that would be allowed, in addition to all the others that are in the ordinance.
Thank you.
That's a good question.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the appeal to establish a medical clinic on the subject property.
Do Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, we're going to take a roll call, please.
Kohler,
Yes.
Stankowski,
Aye.
Avent,
Aye.
Vera,
Aye.
Slagle.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Is there any other business for?
We
next
will
month?
have a meeting next month. We do have 2 cases that have been submitted.
I hear a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And when will our next meeting be? Oh, okay. August 20th. Okay.